What's up, everybody? We're back here with you live at Providence Park. This is the 110 Football Instant Reaction Show in partnership with Adidas. Jessica. I'm Vince LaRosa. This is Jessica Black. We said we'd be back here for you, and we are. It's a 2-1 loss, a similar score line to the last time LAFC were here at Providence Park, but in a very, very different way. No last gasp winners. I felt like, let's just put it out there for the people. A 3-minute span. This game really hinged on a 3-minute span.
Yes.
We created a great chance off a transition that Sifu should have finished. I can say that, I think.
Yeah.
Should have finished.
Yeah.
And then from there, they get a little bit of luck. Sebastian Blanco creates a cross and just to get a bit of a tap in, and that's kind of how it went.
Yeah, I think at the final whistle, I was thinking, we lost the game, but I wasn't disappointed in the performance because I thought in large spells of the game, we were the better team.
Yeah.
We created a lot of good chances, especially on the counter with Sifu and Arango knocking the ball down to Sifu and him being able to carry the ball. And I just thought, just a bad day at the office, but the performance was definitely there. So I'm not really disappointed at the boys today.
Yeah, I'm not as down as we would be at some of these. Obviously, I hate losing to Portland.
Of course.
I hate coming here and losing. I mean, just to give you guys a pull behind the curtain, we have to stay an extra night, and now I'm like, let's go home. Get in cars, let's just go home. I don't want to stay here another night. But I agree with you. The performance was there. We were the ones taking the impetus, creating. I think they really got a foothold at halftime, and we're doing some really nice things. There was a couple of moments where there was some bad play that we'll point out, but there was no glaring mistakes really in defense, I didn't feel.
I didn't think there was any glaring mistakes. I think they got a little bit of luck, and that's what soccer is like one team gets a little bit more luck than the other. I do think that in the 3-5-2 that we had, or the 3-back system with the wing backs, it wasn't as glaringly bad as it usually is, if
Yes.
I can say it that way. I think we still created a lot of chances. I thought Raheem Edwards and who was on the other side?
You had Kim Moon-Wan on the other side.
Kim Moon-Wan was on the other side, and I didn't think it was as bad as we usually think it is, where we're like, oh, we're not really creating the chances that we feel like we should. It felt fine. The result just wasn't there, which is really, really weird.
Yeah.
It's a weird feeling.
It is a weird feeling. Like, I'm not upset, but I know I will be when I look at the table, because that's where the real ramifications of this are. LAFC will end this weekend below the playoff line. They had a chance to get as close as 2 points to the LA Galaxy. That's going to really upset a lot of people. I'm upset about it. So upset that I said the LA Galaxy. My bad, guys. But let's get right into what we do here. We do headlines, we do a stock up, we do a stock fall, and we gave you kind of our instant gut reaction here. So now I'm going to go to you, Jessica. You said you had a headline ready for me, so what do you got?
The noise is always
You love the noises.
My headline is the better team lost. I think I could say confidently for about, I would say 60% of the game, I felt like we were the better team. We were making the better chances. We were having the better spells of possession. I think if you go back and look at the stats, it'll look a little bit more even. But what I saw was our boys were really competing. We had a lot of good spells of play, especially on the counterattack. I thought Arango and Sifu had a really good connection, especially in the first half, with Arango knocking the ball down and Sifu picking it up from midfield and carrying it down the pitch. I thought Brian Rodriguez had some decent spells as well. It was just, we just didn't get the bounces didn't go our way, and it probably has something to do with this turf. I don't know. It's not a great field, so I don't know. Can't be mad at the guys, but I definitely think the better team lost today, and sometimes that happens in this game that we love so much.
All right, Jess, I feel the heat probably coming from the chat already, right? Because you said better, and I know that they lose their minds because they're like, the better team should have won. But I want to point out that that's why we love this sport so much. I mean, how many times do you see a team that goes down and has a bang-on chance where you're like, they got to score here, and then minutes later, the other team scores, and that is exactly what happened tonight. So I know you well enough to know that when you say better, you just mean proactive football.
Yes.
You mean the type of football that we like to see. There's nothing wrong with the way the Timbers play, but they definitely have a real clear identity of how they want to destroy the game and then take their chances when they can.
Well, let's just put it this way. I feel like if Sifu puts away that chance, we're not looking at we're not looking at a loss. I think that's how the margins are so fine in this game. Sometimes you just miss a chance, and right on the other end, they come down and they score. And I think it was that close today, but I still think we were the better team. We've watched the game in the past and felt like, oh, we're getting outplayed. I didn't really feel that until maybe at the very end, where we were getting beat off the ball and kind of pushed around and bullied just a little bit, but I still think we were better.
Well, what's crazy is, so now people are killing Sifu in the chat. He's got to finish that. I understand that. He understands that. Give me an overall assessment of his game, because I don't want to tinge it a little bit, but I thought he had a really good game.
I mean, I don't know. Do we really want to go into it? Because we're going to talk about him a lot with my stock falling and stock rising.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, tipping your hand a little bit there. Okay.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Okay, I will save it because I want you to give some really good analysis there in our stock rising, stock falling. I'll do a quick headline. Well, that's football. I mean, that's like the best way to put it. And we've been saying this over and over again. I know it's not going to make anybody feel better in the moment, but I think if you do take the chance to rewatch that match, you'll see that the guys did a lot of good things. And to Jessica's point, I think one of the biggest things was competing.
Right.
This Timbers team makes you compete because they get on you.
They're gritty.
They're a little gritty. They're a little ticky-tacky with their fouls. They like to slow the game down. And I don't think LAFC ever let it get to them. There was times where I was like, oh, just hit that guy or move him out of your way when you're trying to take a throw in. But they really stayed within their game plan, and then it just came down to the sharper moments. So let's move it along from headlines. Let's do stock rising. Jessica, in this match, who or what was your stock rising?
Well,
you know the sound effects are coming.
The chat is probably going to kill me, but my stock rising is Sifu. I think he was our best player on the pitch by far. There's a reason why he has 5 goals and 4 assists, and he deserved another goal. I think people may be looking at the chance that he missed, but remember, he hit the post too. He was our most influential player in the attack. Exactly. It would have been right up there with Brian Rodriguez's goal, I think, for sure. So for me, he was very influential. He's still a young player, and I actually see him getting better. I think every single game that he plays, he gets more and more influential. He's more clinical in what he does. He had one chance that he should have put away. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But for me, he was the best player on the pitch on both teams, and I know people are slamming him, but if you go back and watch some of the highlights, I'm sure you'll see Sifu doing some good things.
Well, you know what's funny is you point out that shot that hit the crossbar, which if that goes in, we would have been going bananas up here. That, to me, is proof of a player that's fully aware of his surroundings.
Right.
And that's what I saw in Sifu today. Like, he just had such a grip of the game, and every time the ball came to him, he knew exactly where his spatial awareness was. In that moment, he knew exactly where Atanella was, and was able to, I mean, it wasn't even a chip. He just ripped it, and knew that. But to your point, in the sharpest moments, he didn't come through. I would also point out that Brian Rodriguez had a chance where he could have settled the ball and scored. We did get to see Chicho at least add to his tally 5 matches in a row that he has a goal, but there were some moments where he could have been a little sharper as well. So I think you can say everyone in this team could have been sharper and we might have won the game, but I think your overall stock rising for Sifu is a good one. I'm gonna go with Daniel Cristostomo.
Okay.
A lot of that is for me because having watched him just a little bit, I thought he was just he managed the game well. And he was just like a very serviceable player. But in this game, I thought that he actually helped Poncho get a real foothold of the game. He always looks to play forward. He's brave. And you know what? His touch is very good in tight spaces. That's not something you say a lot of times about a USL player. Usually a USL player, they come here and you say, he's a good player, he can do some things. He's got to deal with the speed of the game and the tightness of the spaces. I think he's picked those up really well.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think Cristostomo and Janela and Sifu as a midfield trio did a lot better than I thought that they would. I thought that they would get overrun and there would be a lot of space in midfield, and I think for large parts of the game, and this is a big reason why I thought we were the better team, they controlled the match. And Cristostomo was a big reason for that. And he's a player that I haven't really seen play a lot, but today I have my eye on him because I do think that he was really good in there with Janela in particular.
So a lot of people are pointing out Chicho is stock rising. There's a couple people in there that said Sifu. There's someone in there saying 110 football. Your Heffa, we appreciate you. Appreciate that. 110 football. Well, look, we bring analysis. I love having Jessica here because she really goes deep into the tactics. And when we do these post games, I hope that you leave here at least a little bit smarter, if not feeling better. However, I now got to take us into that moment of the show where we do stock falling. Do you want me to do mine first, or do you want to go ahead?
You go first.
Okay, I'll go ahead because I think maybe get some heat for this. My stock falling is Tomas Romero. And I say this as nicely as I can, but on that corner, he just simply was in no man's land. Wasn't sure if he was coming or going. I think he could have gotten to that ball, but if you don't think you can, you don't go in that moment. I will point out, though, that he did save our butts, though, later on in the half. And also, even though it ended up being offside, to get a hand to that ball, that was potentially the third goal. Incredible save. But, again, we pointed this out in the pregame show. He's 20 years old. And there's moments that he's not recognizing the same. And that's what you would expect from a 20-year-old. The pictures are not the same. The angles are not the same. He needs these. I just don't want him to have these moments when we're in a playoff. We're pushing for a playoff spot.
Is this the type of performance that you think would make Bob think about switching it up with the goalkeepers? We talked about competition for goalkeeper places. Is this the type of performance that you put in for Romero and you're sitting in the locker room thinking, wow, maybe my position is under some threat?
I think you've got to at least seriously look at it. I think a lot of it depends on, we don't say this often, but goalkeepers need to be fit too.
Yeah.
Right? So who knows where Jamal Blackman's fitness is at. However, we did get to see him out here stopping some shots and warm-ups. He's very tall, which is helpful for a goalkeeper. I mean, that's not everything. But in these moments when you've started, like I said, to see Tomas be a little bit lacking in sharper moments and costing you goals. I mean, they had to pull themselves out of it for that one.
Yeah,
and they did find a way. And again, Tomas picked them up on the back end of that first half by making a really great save. But I think this is a moment where the coaching staff, and the fact that they brought in Jamal Blackman in general, they're already thinking.